Brodes Media.
They're winning hangover games. They're winning games when they're literally shotgunning beers out their ass until 4 in the morning. Special. Marchand. Clutch as nails. Rafael Marchand. I fell asleep at 6-4. I watched Max Kepler pimp one to right field with a sickening backdrop. That backdrop, it was so cocky. It was so confident. It was so Max Kepler. Right? It's not Ronald Acuna Jr., where he's throwing it in the air 60,000 feet and trotting with his yellow knee guards and arm braces. It was just a simple pimp daddy, which made it that much more sexy, if I'm being honest with you. But you had that. You had Brandon Marsh 0-2 lefty to take the lead. Harper before that. Oh, I'm so glad I was up to witness that part of it. When I woke up, I went 196. Oh, Rafael Marchand. But dude, wow. They were down 4-zip. This is an easy game to just consider it an automatic loss. You had people nationally tweeting out, if you want to fade anybody, it's the team that was celebrating like this and showing videos of Garrett Stubbs with 7 different beers in his mouth, right? You got all these guys. Here's Kyle Schwarber screaming to the cameras, I'm hammered, as he's pouring another beer down his throat. That's the team you fade. You're down 4-rip, and Shohei Ohtani's putting on a gem. Now, truth be told, things shifted as soon as you yank him out of the game at 68 pitches, and I don't feel like that's something that's going to be done in postseason ball when you're rocking and rolling that effectively. But on that given day, it was the cards that you were dealt, and you took advantage of it big time. And it's somebody new every day. Rafael Marchand, there isn't a backup catcher that gets less time, and I'm making this stat up out of my rear end here, but I just got to imagine based off of, we know the workload JT has poured out there on the field since becoming a Philly. You know, these backup catchers behind JT, very, 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 very limited. You're in Dodger Stadium. You're still fighting for a bye, which is extremely important. And I think you could sense that from the way the team put out the lineup, that there was still a goal in mind. Yes, we will appreciate the mountain that we climbed to win a division again in 2 straight years, which is significant. It's not the end goal, but it's significant. It's a long journey. Appreciate what you accomplished. But job's not finished. Job's not done. And you have the bottom of the order after you blow the lead. Just barely getting it over the wall, but hey, every inch matters, baby. Ask your wife. Incredible. Incredible. Now, is there fear that it weirdly is coming down to having a lead, blowing a lead? Would you like David Robertson to hold? Of course I would like it. Yes. And I understand it's happening with Duran earlier this series, and now Robertson, and these are guys that you're hoping to shut the door in the postseason. 2 things here. 1, it's going to happen. What do you do when it does happen? That's one side of this, right? Okay. Does it break you? Do you fold? Do you fail? Or do you pick up the relief pitcher who didn't have it that day? Also, you got to note that we're talking about the Dodgers here. It's a big-time NL opponent. Sometimes there's going to be players. Now, truth be told, I was sleeping at this point. So, in regards to exactly every pitch, location, and having just an off day compared to tipping your cap, whatever, my point is, like, for example, there's going to be great relief pitching on the other team, and Bryce Harper's going to fucking annihilate him. Well, that's the specialty of Bryce Harper. That's the beauty of Bryce Harper. That's the greatness of this lineup. Even if it's Brandon Marsh, he's been doing it since the one bad month he had. Brandon Marsh is insane. In what world? Brandon Marsh, you're talking about He's doing things that you would ask a star of a team to do. Brandon Marsh? In what world? This one, apparently. But when it comes to the relief pitching, I like the fact that they have the balls to just wipe it clean. Almost like if a corner gets beat. Are you going to hold your head down and look defeated? So now the other team knows, well, we can target this bum. He's totally lost. Are the Phillies going to wear it where you could tell that it hurts them and it deflated them and it stole some of the juice out of them? Or the next half inning, or maybe an inning later, they get revenge. You can't knock us out. You may knock us down. You're not knocking us out. We keep coming. And I think that's more of my takeaway from when Robertson gets touched up or Duran gets touched up. And unfortunately, it's not going to work out that way every time where you always have that response. But they have shown you, essentially, they can win in many different ways. And that's what makes it so difficult. I imagine around the league right now, there is fear when you see the Phillies. I don't think all these other teams have fear. I was listening to Afternoon Drive up in New York, and they were talking about if the Mets get in. Now, they're very down on the Mets, but if the Mets get in, they said they'd rather see the Dodgers than any other team in relation to who maybe they could see in the first round. In the wild cards here, we can match up with this Dodgers team. This Dodgers team, now maybe they're idiots, which is very possible. I'm not telling you New York sports fans are very intelligent. No, I'm not these hosts in particular. I like these hosts, all right? I like these hosts. But I'm just saying, in general, New York sports fans, dopes, idiots, morons. I have to say that, right? And I mean that because they are. I don't have to say it because I have to. I have to say it because they are. But my overall point is, you wouldn't say that about the Phils. Not right now. You wouldn't say that about, no, it's just about it, just the Phils. I don't think Milwaukee scares anyone. I don't think the Dodgers scare people the way you envision it. Maybe that's where things get lost in the sauce, which is the expectation was so crazy that they don't look like what the expectation was. And maybe the expectation was so far out there and so extreme that no one could ever live up to the Dodgers hype in the offseason when they were signing guys like Yamamoto and getting all these Japanese players. I don't know. But all I'm trying to say is this team is deadly right now. And I'm seeing all sorts of comments like they're peaking a little too early, just a little too early. I'm not there. I don't feel that. And the whole bye week thing. We shouldn't want the bye. Come on. That is the dumbest argument. I'm not doing it. You want the bye. You need the bye. Setting up your pitching staff is important. Not having to play a 3-game series is important. Go look at the history of getting the bye. The Astros, when they beat you, had the bye. The Dodgers last year had the bye. Let me give it to you this way. The Braves, when we consistently beat the Braves after a St. Louis Cardinals series, what was it the next year? The Miami Marlins series, right? Those wild card rounds. And I know last year was rough for the Phillies and the Mets. I'm talking about winning a World Series. That wasn't because they had a bye. That's because they embarrassed themselves. They didn't lose because the bye. It's an excuse. The Braves were using that as an excuse to why they failed against the Phillies. I'm not using that as an excuse on why the Phillies lost to the Mets. You were embarrassing. That's why you lost. Not because you had a bye. Getting the bye gives you a significant advantage. I'm in. Oh, timing. And shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. It's dumb. It is the dumbest thing in the world. Dumb to think you'd rather play in a 3-game series compared to getting a bye and setting everything up. Dumb.